Wizardry, Enchantment, and Wonderment by Longchenpa. Again, the statement by the victorious one that all that is, in its having nothing specific about it, is like the magic of an apparition, is the very message of the sutras, tantras, and upadeshas. Listen to my explication of how I have experienced this apparitional character of our reality. In the same way as pristine cognitions rise spontaneously in mind as such, which is vast like the expanse of the sky in which the sun and the moon and the stars shine brightly, so also out of the depth of the continuum of being, infinite and wondrous in its process of becoming, the prolificness of concepts moving in the subject-object division as a result of the loss of pure awareness has come all by itself in such a way that being has presented itself in the mistaken identity of the 6 kinds of sentient beings ranging over the 3 world spheres, like an enchanting apparition. Being's presence is self-presentational. Being's presence is self-presentational by the power of the interaction of causes and conditions, in the same way as the optical illusion of horses, elephants, men and women, mountains and palaces, and so on appears out of a combination of pieces of wood, pebbles, and magic spells. The intellect, which is a devious phenomena of inveterate tendencies due to the loss of pure awareness, displays itself as an objective realm of presence and possibilities as well as a subjective realm, and the 3 poisons accompany the belief in the concreteness of these realms. While actually there is nothing specific in either, there is yet an unceasing presentation. This very moment, unequivocally understand that all this in its totality, resembling a magic show, has no truth in it, and is but open dimensional imagery. All that is, the world of appearance and the possibilities it holds, samsara and nirvana, has been in what it really is, like the sky, remaining identical within itself. Know it to never have come into existence and to have been pure from its beginninglessness. Pure from its beginningless beginning. This dynamic reach and range where the miracle occurs, this dynamic reach and range where the miracle occurs that what is without origin does originate, can be systematically presented by 4 illustrative instances of magic spell weaving. 1. The actual wizardry that constitutes our being as a task to be solved. 2. The enchantment that draws us into a deficiency state. The contamination that has to be rid of. That has got to be rid of. 3. The counter magic of instrumentality as an aid to remove contaminations. And 4. The wonderment of pristine cognitions as the goal where one has reached the end of one's labors. In the same way as an optical illusion set up by spells, chips and pebbles appearing as horses and elephants remain chips and pebbles and are not horses and elephants. So also know the unreality of all that is, and that which points out this unreality as the actual wizardry of being and its spell weaving in what is its presence, the ground of our being that goes astray and becoming mistaken about itself, and the deterioration which takes place. In the process are the course being takes in losing itself. The presence of being's mistaken identity and the freedom from any mistakenness are the features of dynamic freedom that have been since its beginningless beginning. An orderly sequence of 4 phases marks the magic spell weaving that illustrates the internal wizardry of our being. The illustrative material that is there before it is used for illustrative purposes, its application for specific illustration, the finished illustration, and the initial state of affairs after the illustration has served its purpose. The actual wizardry is mind as such, a sheer lucency. It is the continuum that is there as our being that is to be restored to its originality. It is the thrust towards being. Not predetermined as either pure or impure, beyond both samsara and nirvana, this lucency is the foundation for what continues as samsara and nirvana, each coming from and representing pure awareness or its loss. This lucency is primordial being, experienced being present as experience. In the same way as the brightness of a mirror lets images appear in it, but is not abolished by their appearances and remains the mirror surface, having nothing of blackness or whiteness in it, it allows both blackness and whiteness to appear. A person who knows being's likeness within a mirror becomes very wise in every respect. Knows being's likeness with a mirror becomes wise in every respect. Enchantment, which draws us into a deficiency state, is the mistaken presentation of being as samsara. It appears as this by having taken its non-duality as a duality. The counter-magic of instrumentality is the path as an aid for being to recover itself. Through creative imagination that refines the two accumulations and the two stages on the four phases of preparing, linking, seeing, and cultivating, it dispels the contamination to be removed like clouds. The wonderment of pristine cognitions is the path of no more learning, when one has come to the end of one's labors. It is the spontaneous presence of the victorious one's three founding strata and his charismatic activity. It means that the fact of our having two purities has come out into the open. The magic spell weaving illustrative of being's wizardry is the magic of functional correlation. Like the images that have been conjured up by the combination of materials and spells, realize that all that is just such unreality. It comes from the weaving of the web of magical presentations. In the same way as it is known that anything that appears as something other than the combination of materials and spells is a mistaken identity, so also the presence mistaken to sentient beings does not exist really as these beings, but must be known as only a presentation of functional correlation with all the vagaries of inveterate tendencies, having been nothing since it has been there, and having nothing in it that could be grasped concretely, beyond the limitations of existence and non-existence. The presence of the six kinds of sentient beings must be known, in the same way as the presence of make-believe countries and make-believe towns, make-believe persons and make-believe enjoyment, make-believe happiness and misery, make-believe origination and destruction, make-believe truth and falsehood. Realize that the presence mistaken to be samsara is an enchanting apparition for the following reasons. Since it has been pure from its beginningless beginning, it is not only like an enchanting apparition, but since it is there while there is nothing, it is on the same level as an enchanting apparition. Because it has come into existence under favorable conditions, it resembles an enchanting apparition, and as it is deceptive and perishable, it is like an enchanting apparition. Since it has not been understood that the indubitable presence of the six kinds of sentient beings is but in the manner of an apparition, we have continuously lost ourselves in this city of samsara with no boundaries. How pitiable are those tormented by their personal feelings of happiness and misery induced by their actions. You, people, get it in your heads that this mistaken identity of samsara is an enchanting apparition. You who are fortunate enough to see should, through direct vision, ascertain the fact that the very meaning of all that is, not having originated from anywhere, nor going anywhere, nor residing anywhere, as well as its actual presence as what there is, has been the wizardry of being, and is a presence as an apparition, pure since the beginningless beginning. You who are fortunate enough to see should know, this very moment, that the sentient beings are there like an enchanting apparition, and that the limpid clearness and consummate perspicacity that constitutes Buddhahood is an enchanting apparition, and that the dynamic reach and range of both is the play of the wizardry of being, not admitting of the duality of samsara and nirvana. According to the statement by the victorious one, that not so much as an atom is observed apart from the enchantment by the apparitionlessness of all that is, those who desire liberation must know that the fact that nothing whatsoever has any truth in it is the very meaning of enchantment by apparitionlessness. The ways of the wizardry of being can also be known in this way. The wonderment of limpid clearness and consummate perspicacity is a spontaneity, never stepping out of itself nor changing into anything else. Non-deceptive and all-pervading authority, forever like the sky and the sun, or like the precious jewel fulfilling mankind's aspirations, displaying itself with perfect ease, sportively, in charismatic activities that have infinite qualities, pure and lucent, defying all propositions about it. The enchantment which draws us into samsara is untrue and deceptive. Having no connotative significance, it is like an apparition. While there is nothing, there is yet a presence. When the mistaken notions about it have been purified, the mistaken identity dissolves completely, in the same manner as there is no longer a presence of horses and elephants when the spell has been broken. Similarly, a presence which is reduced into a concrete object presenting the contamination that is samsara, the subject-object dichotomy, regains its freedom in its beginningless beginning. Nothing as such in its purity, the presence has no ontological status. The wizardry of being is the very meaning of being, never stepping out of itself nor changing into anything else, the meaningfulness of being that underlies all that is pure and impure, is like the empty space in a clay jar and a golden vase. It neither increases nor decreases, regardless of whether the vessel is intact or broken. Similarly, the very meaning of being remains the same, neither increasing nor decreasing, being neither good nor evil, regardless of the temporality of mistaken bondage or inherent freedom. This is the real intentionality of being, inexperienced being. If you know it in this way, you are a wise person. When you have gained an understanding of being through direct vision of its wizardry, and the time has come to attend creatively to this wizardry taking place in a mood of unreality, in the preliminary to the actual practice, as has been detailed in the previous case, you have to pray to be enabled to deal competently with this wizardry. In actual practice, you have to note that the variety of the without and within presents itself as an enchanting apparition due to the power of causes and conditions, constantly from moment to moment, day and night, attend to and cultivate it, as being untrue in itself, ephemeral, evanescent. Whatever may arise, be these the emotions of love and hatred or the categories of affirmation and negation, you should experience them as having no truth and being nothing by declaring them an enchanting apparition. All the things of the external world are as such an enchanting apparition, and similarly the ideas within are like an enchanting apparition. Since all this has come about under certain conditions, and since it is untrue and deceptive, and since it is merely a presentation, attend to and cultivate it by imaginatively using the analogies illustrating this spell weaving. When you are about to fall asleep, as has been detailed in the previous case, relax in this reach and range of wizardry that has in it no truth and as such defies all propositions. Then, by knowing that any misleading dreams that may occur are this weaving of spells by being, there will be freedom from craving to take them as real and freedom from fear and terror. Exercise this magic as an enchanting apparition, developing it, transforming it, and traveling over the pure realms in an apparition-like manner as done in the previous case. Thereby, the addiction to samsara is resolved by itself into its original freedom, and having regained freedom in the wizardry of being, there is no staying in either form of its enchantment, but there occurs the passing into nirvana, whereby the bitendential value of being, though apparition-like, is spontaneously realized. Therefore attend to this ultimate value that can only be experienced as an apparition-like wonderment.